Hi, I'm just filming a little intro to this video for my YouTube audience. I am having trouble factually describing the content of this video in the title and the cover card without YouTube taking it down. What I'm going to show you next is a very, very large creator with 1.6 million followers on TikTok, engaging in behavior that I found concerning, and I wanted to talk about it in the context of talking about children's rights, because that is a subject I'm very passionate about and have spoken at length on for many years. So this influencer can post his videos, what he's doing, with no problem, monetize it, make an unbelievable amount of money producing this kind of content, and social media platforms have no problem with it. But me criticizing that content gets it flagged. Make it make sense to me. If what they're doing is unacceptable, if what they're doing is inappropriate to be discussed and critiqued, why is it that their original content is not only allowed to be kept up on social media, but then they can copyright strike my video criticizing them using their clips in a transformative way for commentary and critique absolutely allowed under fair use? So I wanted to do this little intro here to just explain why it is you might have seen me put up the original video and then it got taken down, and I put it up and took it down. It was about 3 minutes, 40 seconds long, maybe. So I'm adding additional context and information here in the hopes that you will be able to see this, because I think it is a really important conversation. Why is it that in our society, both here in the US and apparently in the UK, because that's where that video was filmed, it's acceptable to treat children as less than human, to treat them as property of their parents, to treat them in ways that would be criminal if we did it to adults? So please watch. Thanks. A few weeks ago, I saw a video that absolutely horrified me, but it had more than 5 million likes. It was of a British influencer named Husnain Asif, who has more than 1 million followers and was harassing a little girl on the sidewalk, screaming at her, shaming her, terrifying her, belittling her. And I made a video reacting to that, critiquing that, talking about the harm that was caused by that creator who used that little girl, traumatized her, and used it for content. I posted that video to my YouTube account where it got 75,000 views. This week, that creator copyright striked my video. I appealed, saying that my use of his footage fell under fair use because it is being utilized for commentary and critique. It absolutely falls under fair use. He denied my appeal, and I am now having to go through a second-tier appeal with YouTube, which I'm sure he will deny again, which means I'll get a strike on my account, and then I'm going to have to counterclaim against him for falsely claiming that my video was not fair use. I just want to make it really clear here. This is a huge influencer who films little children, traumatizes them, bullies them, harasses them in public, uses that footage for content to make an awful lot of money. And yet he has the audacity to claim that somebody using his clip in a transformative way, a fair use way for critique, is wrong and a violation of his rights. But he doesn't see that what he does is a violation of the rights of those children. He uses little children for content. He traumatizes little children for content. And before you say like, oh, Angela, this was just a one-off. This is just like one viral video. No, this is a pattern. Here's a clip from the video I was originally critiquing.
Go now! Yes! I'm gonna get you. Go! Go! Before I chase you, go! Go!
That's a stranger. That's a little girl being traumatized by a stranger. But it's not the first time he's done this and filmed it for content to make money. He did it as far back as 2021.
Call Super Nanny. Stop! Now!
He thinks that's funny.
I think that worked.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy, and what the fuck is wrong with any of you who thinks that this is appropriate? If he had treated adult women the way he's treating children in these videos, y'all would be up in arms. In fact, there's a case in the UK right now where an influencer was harassing women. He wasn't screaming in their faces and traumatizing them. He was coming and sitting next to them on the tube and like being generally creepy and filming it for content. Yeah, he got arrested, but this fucker can do that to little kids. Film it for content, make money on it, copyright strike, try to get the videos taken down of anybody criticizing him for this behavior. And everybody's just like low-key fine with it. This is what I mean when I say that we live in a society where people treat children worse than animals. People treat children as subhuman. This guy isn't treating that kid like a human being. He's treating her like content. He's traumatizing her for content. He's filming her distress, exacerbating her distress, laughing at it, and filming it for content. And then he has a big temper tantrum and tries to get my video taken down when I am explaining the harm in what he's doing. Shame on this dude. Seriously, you wonder why we live in a society where adults are burdened with so much trauma, put their trauma on other people. You wonder why we live in a world where authoritarianism is ascending all over the place, including in the UK. But you don't think about the fact that it's how we treat kids. The number of people who didn't think there was something seriously fucked up with what this guy did. Y'all are proving my point real hard. I watched it, meaning the videos of Hussein Asif harassing, terrorizing small children on the streets of England, and then laughing about it, posting it as content for money on the internet. I went and watched it, and it appears he does it as a challenge to get children to listen to their parents when out walking. I'm not condoning it, but the parents seem to allow it and could be heard laughing in the background. What, Frenchie cakes, what challenge is it? Please explain to me what you mean about this being a challenge. There were 2 videos of very small children in a high state of distress in public, and a random man went up and screamed at them, threatened them, chased them, terrorized them. How is that what's the challenge? Explain it to me in great detail. And actually, I want to point out here, if a parent had given tacit approval to that behavior, it proves my point even more, that children are treated like property. Children are treated as subhuman. Their rights, their autonomy is not taken into consideration at all. In my original video, I said, if you had seen an adult man going up to an adult woman and treating her this way, you would be horrified. That man would be arrested. But because it's being done to children, we're like, okay with it. Like, clearly you think it's okay. And I saw a couple other people in my comments who were like, it's okay because the parents must have approved, or the parents must have given permission. Let me frame it to you this way, right? If that had been the caretaker of a disabled adult, someone with significant cognitive and physical disabilities in public, experiencing a situation of high distress, and a random stranger had come up to them and scared the shit out of them, they were crying, clearly terrified, but their caretaker said, like, no, it's fine. How would you feel about that? How would you feel about that? I really want you to sit with why it is that you are okay, that you are not horrified at little children being treated this way by adult influencers who film it for content and post that child's distress, then post them harassing that child to make money on the internet. Why it is that you are not horrified by that, why it is that you're trying to come up with reasons why that's acceptable, why that's like not a big deal. But if you saw it done to an adult with disabilities, if you saw it done to an elder, if you saw it done to a woman, you would be flipping the fuck out. But when it's done to a little kid, way too many of y'all are trying to twist yourselves into pretzels to be like, nah, it's fine. I thought he, meaning the mega influencer with 1.6 million followers on TikTok, was trying to get them to stay with their moms. You think a strange man coming up and screaming in the face of a small child is a good way to get a child in distress to go with their mom? Could you please explain to me a single situation in which screaming in the face of a child and intentionally scaring them is an effective way to get them to cooperate, or an effective way to teach them anything? Please explain to me a scenario in which traumatizing a small human being is an effective way to get them to do anything. I mean, clearly in this instance, it got them to go with their mom. What's the long-term consequence? There's a reason when adult men treat adult women this way, it's considered harassment. It's a crime to treat adult women this way, but apparently in society it's okay to do it. Where are the adults? Are these orphans on the streets? No, in these videos where British mega influencer Hussein Asif is harassing small children on the street, scaring the crap out of small children on the street, and filming it for content, laughing about what he's doing, while these kids are clearly terrified, clearly distressed. I got lots of people being like, where's their parents? You can actually see the moms in both of the videos. And I think there's one of two things going on here. One, a giant well-known influencer randomly approaches and is filming. He's screaming in the face of these kids. He's scaring them. He's chasing them to get them to go with their moms, right? These are small children who are distressed in public, and their mom is clearly struggling to deal with the situation. I think one of two things happened in these videos. Number one, there's an awful lot of bad parenting out there. There's an awful lot of us who think it's okay to treat kids like this. After all, in both his videos, he's like, I'm going to super nanny this, right? There's a whole TV show for years and years and years that ran on the most awful, coercive, disrespectful parenting. It was like a TV show entirely about traumatizing kids, all about coercive control and manipulation. And it was like a top-rated TV show for many years in the UK and the US. But what I really think is going on here is that women, especially young mothers of young children, are just judged everywhere we go. We are shamed. We are belittled. We are judged because our children are distressed, right? Other people see a child in distress and they turn to the mom and say, this is your fault. This is bad parenting. Instead of seeing children as separate human beings who are going through very rapid social, emotional development, physical development, rather than seeing those children as human beings learning how to interface with society for the first time, learning to understand and regulate their emotions for the first time. Instead, what they see is some disobedient, snot-nosed brat, and they blame the mom. They don't see that child as a unique whole human being with unique challenges. Instead, they see the mother as being to blame because they can't keep their kid in line, right? So much childism. Childism is a unique form of discrimination against children based on their age and their developmental status and their cognitive and physical limitations. Childism absolutely always ties into misogyny because mothers are the primary caretakers of children. And when children are judged and discriminated against, it always, always, always connects to their caretaker. It always connects to the mother. When children are denied access to places, their caretakers are denied access to places. When children are judged and belittled and dehumanized, their caretakers are blamed. You cannot talk about childism in American culture or in British culture or wherever without understanding the ways that it is tied to misogyny. When you discriminate against children, you discriminate against women. When you dehumanize children, it has negative consequences for their caregivers. It harms their caregivers. And so often, right, I have 4 kids. I remember being a young mom in public, especially my eldest, who's autistic, would really, really have a hard time when she was very young. And I had a baby and a toddler melting down. And I would get so much shame and judgment. I would get so much derision from complete strangers. They would have zero empathy for my small child who was struggling and zero empathy for me as the caregiver who was trying to help my kid navigate that situation, who was trying to respect my child and also help them figure out how to regulate in public. Instead, it was just like judgment, shame for my child, derision and shame and judgment for me as the parent over and over. It is excruciating to be a young mom in public, especially when you have a child with special needs, especially when you have a child who is really spirited and or exhausted, hungry, going through a stage of rapid development. All of those make it difficult for children to perform the way that adults want them to, right? Children are trying to live their lives and adults expect kids to be putting on a performance that is socially acceptable to adults. Yet another way we dehumanize children. But anyway, that always ends up being judgment put on the mom. So it's very hard for a lot of mothers. Women are enculturated to go along, especially to go along with what aggressive men want. We are told not to put up a fight. We are told to just go along to get along and get out of the situation. We are told not to ruffle feathers, not to stand up for ourselves. And that dynamic is amplified significantly when you are caring for young children. You are made to feel small and embarrassed. It's very hard for a lot of young mothers to find the courage to advocate for them and their children. And so you end up in situations where children are dehumanized and treated poorly by strangers, and their mothers are struggling to be good advocates for them because their mothers are also subjected to this awful dynamic that exists everywhere in society. So I think in these situations, when I watched those videos, what I saw was 2 young moms who are having a hard time. It's already embarrassing. It's already difficult. You're already like, oh God, this is so stressful. I don't know how to help my kid. I'm trying to figure out how to parent in this situation. And random strangers with 1.6 million followers are filming it and coming up and screaming at my kids. In that moment, how many of us, when we were young and already in a position where we're just feeling embarrassed and small and unsuccessful and judged by the entire culture, how many of us would have been like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop filming my kid. Don't talk to my kid that way. Actually, you know what? I'm going to call the police. This is harassment. If you did this to an adult woman, it would be a crime. Stop treating my child this way. How many of us realistically, right? Like in our own fantasy lives, we could say, oh, I would definitely step up and be the hero for my kid. I actually don't judge moms who in the moment, they can't summon that up for themselves because we have been enculturated our entire lives as women to be quiet and get along and just get through the scenario and go on about our lives. We've been taught not to stand up for ourselves. We've been taught not to stand up for our children. We've been taught not to anger aggressive men, but just to like get through this moment and move along. So I think some of that was at play here in these situations. The blame is squarely on the shoulders of the mega influencer who has multiple times now filmed small children in distress, gone up to them, screamed in their faces, chased them down the street, clearly traumatizing them. And then he posted it on the internet for monetized content. And also it's the fault of the 5 million people who liked his video. It's the fault of everybody who thinks that this is acceptable behavior. We should be talking about how this is totally unacceptable. This should not be normalized. This is not humorous. This is not some kind of sketch. This is not funny. It's not helpful. It's traumatic. It's unacceptable. That's why I'm talking about it.